8:45, this is Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by J. Yogaraj and read by Lamani Vijayatunga. First, we take a look at the headlines. The President says a draft proposal on consistent foreign policy and national security will be submitted before the end of this year. The no-confidence motion against the Health Minister defeated in the Parliament. The Prime Minister says the cooperative societies can help the country to solve the economic crisis. The President submits Defence Review 2030 to the Cabinet. New Ayurveda Act will allow medicinal cannabis cultivation. Lanka Coal Company has called for tender for the import of coal stocks necessary for the electricity production for the next 12 months. In news overseas, Hong Kong and the southern China area battle widespread flooding from record rains. And in sports news, Isipatana and the 2023 league champions St. Peter's College vie for the honours when they clash in the President's Trophy Schools Under-19 rugby final on Sunday. Those are the headlines, and now let's move on to the details of the local news. President Ranil Wickremesinghe said that a draft proposal on the consistent foreign policy and national security will be submitted before the end of this year. The President has instructed the relevant officials to devise a plan in this regard. The President stressed that the country cannot move forward with changing policies. Therefore, a consistent policy should be implemented and followed under each government without changes. The President made these remarks at a function held at the Temple Trees this morning to launch the report of the policy evaluation process. The vote on the no-confidence motion against Health Minister Kelly Rambukwala was defeated in the Parliament today following a 3-day debate. The Health Minister survived the no-confidence motion moved by the opposition by a majority of 40 votes. A total of 113 lawmakers voted against the motion, while 73 voted in favour. Accordingly, Rambukwala will continue to function as the Minister of Health further. The debate on the no-confidence motion, which commenced on Wednesday, entered its third consecutive day this morning after the parliamentary session began at 9:30 a.m. The motion of no confidence against the Health Minister was handed over to Speaker Mahinda Abeyewardene by main opposition Samagi Janabalawege's General Secretary Ranjith Madduma Bandara and MP Kavinda Jayawardena on the 21st of July with the signatures of 45 MPs. The motion was moved over the alleged irresponsible importation of substandard medicines and surgical equipment which weakened the health sector and caused the deaths of several patients receiving treatment at state hospitals. The main opposition alleges that the government continued to bring in low-quality medicines and surgical equipment without complying with the due procurement and registration process, claiming it was a state of emergency. President Ranil Wickremesinghe has submitted to the Cabinet the Defence Review 2023, which not only analyses the current regional challenges but also outlines a roadmap for the future. Sri Lanka's commitment to safeguarding its freedom and sovereignty has been reaffirmed with the release of the Defence Review 2030 by the head of state, the President's media division said, adding that the comprehensive document outlines the evolving security landscape in the Indian region and sets out the course for Sri Lanka's defence policy in the coming years. The President has proposed the Defence Review 2030 in the recent cabinet meeting, according to the PMT. The key principles of Sri Lanka's defence policy after gaining independence have always been revolving around protecting its sovereignty, avoiding military alliances, refraining from conflicts in the Indian Ocean, countering non-state actor adverse to Sri Lanka, and contributing to global peace. However, the security dynamics have witnessed a significant shift. The PMD says previously Sri Lanka's primary focus was on combating internal terrorism, notably the LTTE, adding that today the strategic environment has grown more complex, marked by great power rivalries between the United States and China, the emergence of strategic alliances such as Quad and AUKUS, as well as the Ukraine war and the omnipresent threat of climate change. This is the news from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
Next Gen Lifestyle set ஆகும் Digital Banking Partner People's Bank.
we continue with more local news, the new Ayurveda Act will grant approval for the cultivation of cannabis for medicinal purposes, says the Minister of State for Indigenous Medicine, Sisira Jayakodi. Joining a press conference held at the Department of Government Information on Thursday, the State Minister expressed that the Ayurveda Act previously allowed only for the production of Ayurvedic medicines using hemp, adding that it is now paved way for the cultivation of medicinal hemp. However, Minister Jayakodi stated that herbal cultivation should be carried out as a commercial crop, pointing out that the environment conducive to this and the necessary legal provisions have already been provided. He also said that a few more new professions will be registered under the Ayurveda department in the coming weeks. Don't confuse massage therapist, the new career field to be given a registration with spas, he added. Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena said that the cooperative societies can help the country to solve the economic crisis. The mediation of the cooperative society sector in promoting the rural production has been highlighted at present. The Premier also emphasized the importance of empowering the Cooperative Society Act. The Premier made these remarks at a diploma certificate awarding ceremony held in Kollipitia Cooperative Society Auditorium today. The Cooperative Society commemorates 100 years. The Prime Minister said the cooperative societies provide a yeoman service to the country. And to conclude the local news, the headlines once again. The President says a draft proposal on the consistent foreign policy and national security will be submitted before the end of this year. The no confidence motion against Health Minister defeated in the Parliament. The Prime Minister says that the cooperative societies can help the country to solve the economic crisis. The President submits Defence Review 2030 to the Cabinet. The new Ayurveda Act will allow medicinal cannabis cultivation. Lanka Coal Company has called for tender for the import of coal stocks necessary for the electricity production for the next 12 months. And that was the local news.
Enjoy seamless shopping. Open LCs, settle bills and transfer funds instantly, anywhere and anytime. With People's Bank Digital Solutions, you're empowered to do more whenever and wherever you want. Unlock a world of modern banking conveniences with People's Bank, your next generation digital banking partner. People's Bank.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
The main news story for tonight, a discussion on the financial status of the Ceylon Electricity Board, electricity production and the coal importation plan for the next 12 months was held this morning at the Ministry. Lanka Coal Company has called for tender for the import of coal stocks necessary for the electricity production. Accordingly, 40 coal ships are scheduled to arrive in the island from next week onwards. The first coal ship is scheduled to arrive at the Norechole power plant next week. And that was the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
And in Washington tonight, the health officials warn that several diseases are rapidly spreading among children with the prevailing weather conditions in the island. Dr. Deepal Pereira, a specialist doctor at the Lady Ridgeway Children's Hospital in Colombo, states that conditions such as dehydration are common with children these days. Therefore, Dr. Pereira also recommended that children should be provided with more liquids during these days. Furthermore, the specialist doctor claimed that the diseases like diarrhea can spread widely among children with the prevailing dry weather. And that came to you in Watch Light.
World News. Brought to you by courtesy of...
It's the power to live life your way. The power to be a trendsetter. Power to you with digital banking from Commercial Bank. Commercial Bank. Our interest is in you.
Headlines of the world news. Hong Kong and southern China battle widespread flooding from record rains. Greek floods, the Prime Minister warns of very unequal battle with nature. Cryptocurrency boss jailed for 11,196 years in Turkey for fraud. Those are the headlines, and now is more to the details of the world news. Hong Kong and southern Chinese cities are battling the widespread flooding as the region endures some of its heaviest rainfall on record. On Friday, the streets and subway stations were underwater in Hong Kong as officials shut schools and workplaces. The Weather Bureau said the downpour, which began on Thursday, is the biggest to hit the city in nearly 140 years. Rescuers in central Greece are trying to reach hundreds of people trapped by floods that have left villages submerged and 7 people dead. Prime Minister Mitsotakis said Greeks face a very unequal battle with nature. Rivers have burst their banks and homes and bridges have been swept away after days of torrential rain. Residents in the villages around Palamas and Katidas have appealed for food and water. A Turkish cryptocurrency boss and his 2 siblings have been jailed for 11,196 years each for defrauding investors of millions of dollars. Faruk Fatir Ozer, aged 29, fled to Albania in 2021 with investors' assets after his Thodex exchange suddenly collapsed. He was extradited back to Turkey in June and found guilty of money laundering, fraud and organized crime. And that was the world news.
World News. Brought to you by courtesy of...
This message is for all the kids between the ages of 4 and 16 who love to draw. Commercial Bank's Arunalu Sittam is back once again. This time, the competition is also open to Sri Lankan kids currently living abroad. First, second and third place prizes will be awarded along with special merit and merit certificates. For more information, visit the Commercial Bank website. We have so many prizes to be won.
Development News is brought to you by
Job opportunities for well-experienced housemaids and home cooks in Saudi Arabia and Kuwait for ages 40 to 58 years. Salary 135,000 rupees. Contact 037 7500 500.
In development news, the Sri Lankan government is in talks with many private companies and airlines as it prepares to privatize Sri Lankan Airlines, including Emirates and the Indian conglomerates Tata Sons and Adani Group, according to Veeraperumal Ravindran, the carrier's regional manager for India, Bangladesh and Nepal. Mr. Ravindran was speaking to the Indian broadsheet The New Indian Express to raise the airline's profile in the Indian state of Kerala, where it is planning to increase its frequencies between Colombo and Trivandrum in the coming winter schedules from 6 to 7 times weekly and to maintain its 10 times weekly frequencies to Kochi International. That was the development news and sports news coming up.
Job opportunities for women from Deshakti Lanka in Saudi Arabia, Kuwait and Oman. Housemaids and home cooks in Saudi Arabia, ages 40 to 58 years. Arabic speaking and well experienced home cooks. Salary 135,000 rupees. Interviews are now on with foreign agents. You can travel overseas free of charge now. Branches Colombo, Kurunegala, Anuradhapura and Matara. Contact number 0377 500 500. Deshakti Lanka Foreign Employment Agency.
Moving on to sports news, in school rugby, Isipadana and the 2023 league champions St. Peter's College will vie for honours when they clash in the President's Trophy Schools Under-19 rugby final scheduled to take place at Sugadasa Stadium on Sunday. The Peterites will be the favourites in this encounter because they walk in with an unblemished record this season and also due to the fact that they have beaten the Green Shirts once they met in the league encounter. The Peterites have done well to remain at the top of the school's tournament thanks to the all-rounder efforts by the boys and the guidance of a successful coaching team headed by Sanath Matis. Their performances in the knockouts were much acclaimed by rugby fans, largely because they had one of the toughest passages to the knockout final. That was the sports news, business news coming up.
Go ekak thiyana youth eකට life ekේ change eකට niyameta set wenna as wahagena dakapu hina habe karanna youth eකට niyameta set wenna friendship එක menna.
The all new NSB Ithru Mithru account, NSB IAM, a plan for your dream.
Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
A Thai embassy-sponsored delegation looking for business opportunities in Sri Lanka visited the Hambantota International Port last week. The main focus of the visit was to identify potential investment opportunities at the port for investors from Thailand. Thai companies represented amongst the group were Prepat Technology, Forward Management Services, CO2 Innovation and NC Holidays. That was the business news. Economic news follows.
Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go එකක් තියන youth එකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු හින හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න
The all-new NSB Ithru account. NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
In economic news, Sri Lanka remains the largest revenue owner of the tea in the world, second only to China, said Ganesh Devanayagam, who was re-elected for his second tenure as the chairman of the Tea Exporters Association at the 24th annual general meeting in Colombo. Sri Lanka specializes in unique tea blends, helping it excel in the marketplace. The average FOB price of Sri Lanka tea is $5.10 per kilogram compared to India's 3.58 and Kenya's 2.6. Sri Lanka has achieved this feat through relentless pursuit, breaking global barriers and innovating as well as taking risk. He also emphasized that Sri Lanka's tea blending, packaging, flavoring and value addition are significantly ahead of its competitors. That is economic news and the weather report to conclude.
Weather report.
And finally, the weather report. The Met Department says showers or thunder showers will occur at times in the western, Sabaragamuwa and northwestern provinces and in the Kandy, Nuwara Eliya, Galle and Mathara districts. Fairly heavy showers, about 50 millimeters, are likely at some places in the western and Sabaragamuwa provinces and in the Galle and Mathara districts. A few showers may occur in the Anuradhapura, Mannar and Khambantara districts. Showers or thunder showers may occur at a few places in the Uva province and in the Ampara and Batikula districts during the evening or night. This weather report was published this evening at 7:30 p.m. Further details could be obtained by visiting the official website of the department. And before we conclude this bulletin, let's get back to the headlines once again. The President says a draft proposal on the consistent foreign policy and national security will be submitted before the end of this year. The no-confidence motion against the Health Minister defeated in the Parliament. The Prime Minister says the cooperative societies can help the country to solve the economic crisis. The President submits Defence Review 2030 to the Cabinet. New Ayurveda Act will allow medicinal cannabis cultivation. Lanka Coal Company has called for tender for the import of coal stocks necessary for the electricity production for the next 12 months. In news overseas, Hong Kong and southern China battle widespread flooding from record rains. And finally on sports news, Isipatana and the 2023 league champions St. Peter's College will vie for honours when they clash in the President's Trophy Schools Under-19 Rugby Final on Sunday. And with that, we conclude this bulletin of news. Now it's back to your regular Friday evening host, my good friend Santi, on the other side of the glass panel to keep you entertained.